That's great. And that's what you do a lot these days? Are you painting plein air?
Yeah, and my mural work has changed from being very planned to much more spontaneous. So in the beginning when I did murals, I did them like the chalk paintings. I did a huge layout and I pounced the pattern onto the wall and I knew exactly where I was going. It's kind of paint by number because all the outlines are there. And when I thought about doing it quicker, I hired an artist who does paint quicker, and I kind of got in a different rhythm of the background, midground, foreground. So if I'm setting in a background in nature, it doesn't really matter whether the tree is here or the rock is there. I mean, I might have drawn out a sketch. But it's different when you're doing faces or people or everything has to be placed. But I realized I could place the things in the background afterwards. And if I need something specific, then I might draw out a specific sketch or a size or something. I'll tape paper on the wall and trace it on and see if it's okay. But often I'm painting murals for people and they're designing it with me.
Oh,
so I'm painting something and they go, I decided I want a macaw in it.
A macaw.
So
out of the blue.
Often we both research it and then we choose, well, do you want it this way, facing this way?
Right.
So when I was painting the murals at Kaiser, the kids were there 5 feet from me saying what they wanted in the murals. So they evolved with the kids. And then 2 weeks later, they'd come in and they'd say, that's my seal or that's my shark or whatever.
So you brought some of the pictures of your murals, didn't you? So
yeah,
why don't we take a look at those now?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So one of the first murals that I did that was spontaneous was a bamboo forest in a yoga center. And I did the background and I took pieces of tape, blue tape, to mark what angles I wanted the bamboo. So I'd have the tape and I'd be drawing the bamboo and pulling off the tape as I went along and stopping. It has a sponged-in background and a bunch of sponged-in foreground where the ground is. And I was trying to match a floor that hadn't even been put in, so I'm imagining in my head, well, what's the color of wood that's varnished? And the idea was to make this cabinet that stands in the room look like it goes back. So I love trompe l'oeil, where you're making something look like something else.
Yeah, giving it depth and
right
3 dimensions. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so this is one of the murals at Kaiser. This it's called the Aquatic Medley, and there's actually 3 walls connected. And when I painted any animal, a large animal, the kids always wanted to know where the baby was, or where's the mom, where's the dad, where's the baby. So, and then they asked for skin divers, and then another kid said, well, if there's skin divers, there has to be a boat. And if there's a speedboat or a diver boat, there has to be a sailboat. And if there's sailboats, there has to be seagulls, So like
so
they
just
were
kept
adding stuff to it. Yeah.
That's great. And so the kids were in the hospital?
They're waiting to see the doctors.
They're
Yeah, it's
in
the
the waiting
pediatric
rooms.
waiting rooms.
Oh.
It's Santa Teresa, Kaiser. Yeah. And this is my latest big panoramic mural in a bathroom in Palo Alto. My daughter calls this a love affair with California. So this is we're looking at a creek that I took from a girlfriend's photograph. And in her photograph, it's in the wintertime and the hills are green and the creek is running away from the view. And my clients wanted the creek to come towards them and they wanted summer hills. So they chose from the photographs that I had shown them, and they chose the areas. And I originally thought it was going to have a much lower horizon line with a lot more sky. And they were like, no, let's go as big as we can on the walls. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Is that part of the same one?
Yeah, this is the Redwood Grove that's up above the doors. There's a 14-foot high ceiling there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I thought that they wanted one redwood tree in the corner, and they're like, no, we want a whole bunch of them with a path. And so I could just work with what people...
Yeah, it's good that you're flexible. That's excellent.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun to design it with them because they got exactly what they wanted. Now, this is the back of the door in the water closet, and it's a path that goes down to a reservoir. It really makes you feel like you're not in a closed environment.
Yeah,
so
beautiful. So Tell us a little bit about the planning process for a mural and what types of materials that you need to use, and how do you create an entire mural like that?
That one in particular was really fun because I like to work from something. I like to know that I'm really in my client's head for what's happening. So when people have images or things that have meaning, that's what they're starting with. And then I'm working with where to place it and how to incorporate it. Sometimes people tell me things they want in a mural, and then I design a layout and present it to them, and we work with it from that way. This one was more on the fly from the photos. I know what's on that wall, and just I went with it, and it's a much quicker process.
So how long does it take to paint a mural generally, like maybe one wall?
Probably about 4, 5, 7 days. Depends on how detailed it is.
Really?
And how large the wall is.
How many hours
Yeah.
a day can you paint? That's a lot of
prefer
painting.
to paint about 6 or 8 hours. Sometimes
Wow.
I go to 12 if I'm really flying. I'm much faster painting after 6 hours, but I get much tireder after.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. That must be your stamina comes from the street paintings.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Yeah. So are there any other murals that you particularly enjoyed painting?
One of my favorite ones was at Sacred Heart School, where the kids were around, again, when there's an audience, and
Yes.
painting with them. And it was a mural that included kids in it, and I used the kids as models, and so they recognized their friends
Oh,
in the
excellent.
mural. That
So what
really
was the subject of the mural?
They decided they wanted a view looking as if you're inside a church looking out, even though it's on the outside. So it's a stained glass mural with columns, and the columns are faux. They're So as you step back from it, it looks like there's a bunch of arched windows, and that there's actually round columns there, and they're all painted. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
Excellent. So you are also a Silicon Valley Open Studios artist.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about the benefits of that and what types of paintings you show for that?
So I've shown a lot of the different work I have, and some people walk in and they go, wow, this is really diverse, because the difference between the chalk paintings and the landscapes are very different. I really enjoyed participating, getting to know the groups of artists that are in my own neighborhood and having a connection with other people. I was shocked to find out how many artists there were just in Palo Alto. And the education that comes along with it, they give you a lot of help and assistance and workshops. They'll do little trainings where they help you design what you need to have an open studio and to get your refreshments, and they just give you a lot of tips that I wouldn't think of.
Right, a lot of marketing help. Exactly.
It was really a lot of fun.
Excellent. So tell us a story that comes to mind of another street painting story. I'm totally fascinated by that art form, and tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, the second one I did, I had a friend with me, and that's when it really became clear the difference between being comfortable in front of people, and it was very hard for her, and I got to see the difference between my excitement and her nervousness and her not being comfortable with it. And I thought, wow, I have this advantage that when I'm there, I'm really energized. And the funny part about being in this square, thousands of people come in, and it just fills up the space in between. So all the walking space, you really have to wait for the crowd to move. But while I'm on the square, it's like that's my little space, and I'm usually like 6 or 7 feet away from people. So you feel like you have an audience all around on all sides.
All sides, and you sit in the middle.
And I think that part of the experience of doing chalk on pavement is it's temporary, and so much of life is. And people go, oh my gosh, how can you leave? How can you go home and have left your art there? And like the first few times, it was hard. I didn't want to see it get scrubbed off.
Right.
But there's something that no one can ever take away, is the experience and the learning that I had studying the old masters' works and recreating it. That's in my psyche, in my memory forever. And so I have photographs, and I can look at the photographs and remind myself, but it's never the same as being there.
Right.
Because when you walk around something, you see how it changes the proportions and the perspective, and the heat and the noise and the music, and it's just a whole tactile experience. When you look at the pictures, you're like, yeah, I did that. It's all shrunk, it's different.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's, you enjoy the performance part of it.
I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. And that helped me when I've painted out in the street. In San Mateo, I have a mural up off the sidewalk, and it was very easy to be painting in front of people because of the street painting experience.
Well, thank you so much for coming and being on our show. You opened my eyes to what street painting is, and I definitely want to find out some more and go to one of the festivals. It sounds fascinating.
You'll love
it. Yes, and thank you also for watching our show about local art, and I'm Sally Rayn, your host for Talk Art.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.